What's up, guys? This is Bobby Douglas, and we are back again today with another 2020 NBA Draft Prospect full game video breakdown. Today we're looking at Villanova wing Saddiq Bey. He's a big 6'8", 216-pound wing out of Villanova, 16 points a game along with 5 rebounds a game and around 2.5 assists per game. Shot 45% from 3 this year, which is very impressive. And the game we're going to be looking at of him today is against Providence, and in this game he had 13 points and 9 rebounds with 2 assists. In a 64-60 win. He played 39 minutes, and he shot 3 of 8 from 3, 5 of 14 from the field, so not a great shooting night for him, but I think this game shows enough of his appeal as an NBA draft prospect. So with that, let's just get into it right now, and I will make this full screen really quick. And here we go. So he's going to be number 41 in the navy blue. And again, this game is at Providence. So we will watch him play. With Saddiq Bey, I have him ranked 7th on my big board right now. I really do like him as a prospect. He does have a pretty low floor. He's kind of the Wendell Carter Jr. of this draft. You know, I don't like using that comparison because they're different players. But in terms of what they represent in their respective draft classes, I think they're very alike. You know, Wendell Carter was seen as this safe pick, kind of what you see is what you get type of big man, and I think Saddiq Bey is that kind of player, but of the wing variety. I think he's a really good defender. He's a really good three-point shooter. Doesn't really have the scoring acumen or moves necessary to really be a primary initiator on offense, but again, I really do think he's a good player. So we saw that shot right there, and he missed that little off the dribble step in too. And again, he's going to be guarding the best player on the other team for Villanova quite frequently. Again, he's a very solid defender, I think. I think that's one of his best attributes. Villanova's always had a very good defensive program, and Saddiq Bey is just another one of those players that really shined on the defensive end for Villanova. He was also their leading scorer. Again, 16 points a game, which is very solid, on 48% shooting from the floor. So he's number 41. So we're going to see a lot of him on the ball. And he's not necessarily a flashy defender in terms of numbers. He's not going to get a lot of blocks. He's not going to get a lot of steals. But just, he's very solid, very consistent, just a really good team defender. You know, I almost see him like a Robert Covington type in the NBA. And the reason why I have him 7th is because I do think his floor is very high compared to some of the other prospects in this draft. And again, my big board is pretty much mixed with people who have high floors and who I think have high ceilings. So I think it's a little bit of a mix of both. And with Saddiq Bey, he's just one of those players who I'd feel comfortable taking in a top 10 right now just because of that high floor. Because you know what he's going to be. He's what you see is what you get type of player. Again, he's a good three-point shooter. He's a really good defender on the wing. He can guard most positions. So I just really like, overall, Saddiq Bey's profile as a prospect. So again, he's playing off the ball on D right here. Again, he's a pretty alert defender. You know, he has good awareness on that end. He's a pretty good player off the ball, good team defender. You know, he's never going to be a minus on that end. And in fact, I think he's capable of being the first or second best defender on an NBA team in some time. That's a textbook charge from Jeremiah Robinson Earl. The limitations on Saddiq Bey, so again, I'm higher on him than most, this time by about 10 to 15 spots compared to most draft people. And my reasoning, or the reasoning for having him lower or in like the mid-teens to early 20s range is just because he's not really going to be an initiator on offense. He's going to be a guy who doesn't really have elite hip speed. He doesn't really have good mobility with the ball in his hands. And so you're really just banking on that three-point shot translating because he's not going to be a guy who you give the ball to and say, oh, let's go get a bucket. He's more of a catch-and-shoot type of player, a guy who's going to need opportunities created for him instead of creating opportunities for himself. So that's just some of the criticism they have with Saddiq Bey. People also doubt his ability to defend at the NBA level just because of that Just the overall hip rotations just aren't great. The foot speed isn't super great. Again, not the quickest player laterally, but I ultimately think his frame will win out in that regard. I think he's a smart defender, a heady defender as well, so I do think he'll be a positive on the defensive end. But that's just some of the conflicting opinions on Bey that I've seen. So here he's guarding Alpha Diallo. Again, really solid defense right there. Got a good contest, stayed low, moved his feet well. And again, he's a very disciplined defender, I think, as well. That's the thing with these Villanova guys. They tend to be extremely disciplined on both ends. They don't turn it over a lot. They don't have many defensive lapses. He just ran an Iverson cut there, so let's see if anything happens with Bey on this play. It doesn't look like it, but we'll see. So again, when you're looking at draft, the thing that a lot of people really undervalue this in a prospect, and it's just the basketball IQ and feel for the game. That's really like a huge deal when evaluating prospects. You've seen a lot of guys. Take a look at Josh Jackson, for example. He was a top 5 pick in 2017 just purely based on his athleticism and what he could be. And he's ultimately just a borderline NBA player. He spent a lot of time in the G League. He's had a lot of issues off the court. And so you look at a guy like him, and he never really figured it out. He never really had a great feel for the game. So really, this stuff is really important, and they don't really talk about it a whole lot. But you look at the best players in the NBA. You look at Luka Doncic. You look at James Harden. You look at LeBron James. They all have elite basketball IQs. So that's something that really matters when evaluating NBA talent. And I think Saddiq Bey has that. So that time he had to tag the roll man, so he was late to the 3-point shooter. So that's just a tough play. But again, he made the right play based on the defensive game plan for Villanova. He did have to tag that roller weak side. He got a body into him, and then he just ultimately it led to an open 3 because nobody rotated for him. So here he is again. Again, not really super comfortable off the dribble. And again, he's a guy who's going to need opportunities created for him through the way of a kick out or a drop down pass, things like that. He's not going to be a guy, at least early in his career, that's going to break guys down off the dribble, But you're just getting a solid overall player. He's not going to be a star in the NBA. He'll just be a simple, 3-and-D guy, but I do think he projects really favorably for that role in the NBA. And those guys are all the rage now in the NBA, so I do think he'll have a successful career. So here's again, moving his feet well. Kind of got shook right there, and yeah, that's tough. He kind of got shook on that dribble fake, but and again, that's where the foot speed comes in. It looks like he was kind of overcompensating for guarding a quicker player, and that's something he'll have to get a little bit better at in the NBA because he doesn't really have elite length that you'd want in a wing prospect. But again, I do like his frame overall. We got free throws here, so I'll skip these. And Bey goes out here, I believe. So then I will skip ahead to when he comes back in. And then he's in for the rest of the game. So, and here we go. So again, he played 39 minutes in this game. And he started last year a fair amount as a freshman for Villanova, which is pretty hard to do at a program like Villanova to start as a freshman. I think guys like Jalen Brunson have done that in the past, but it just goes to show. So again, there's a little bit of his dribble game right there. Again, he can't really get by people off the dribble. He does have a decent handle, but it's just a matter of his speed and just overall comfort with the ball in his hands. A lot of people can see him as a small ball four in the NBA, maybe like a PJ Tucker type, because he is pretty physical. He does go after rebounds hard. Only average around 5 a game. This game he has 9, so it's just something to look out for. But he's not afraid of contact, especially on the defensive end. He'll box people out that are bigger than him. And again, I do think that PJ Tucker comparison is pretty accurate and fair, except PJ Tucker won't, or Saddiq Bey, I don't think will just be relegated to the corner on offense like Houston does to him. But, just someone like that who can hit the three, who can bang down low a little bit, who can guard on guards and on switches in some cases. I do think Saddiq Bey's a more versatile defender. But again, PJ Tucker's a very good defender, so just something to watch out for with him as well. So he's on the wing right now. Nothing really going on there. Didn't really do much there. He was on the weak side, had to cut off the shooter. Not really much happening on that play for him. So he's getting back on defense. He's going to stop the ball here. Kind of got beat a little bit there again, but luckily he passed up. I think that was David Duke who passed up the shot. But again, he's not a guy who's going to be in the face of his man. He's more of a guy who will be laid back, just keep him in front. That's really more of his philosophy. And again, if you're going to give up a shot, you'd rather it be a three than a layup. So I'm not really for that. There are a bunch of I'm pretty much for that. So again, right there, you saw him try to get separation off the ball, and he kind of really just was. It looked like his feet were stuck in quicksand. That's one of those, and then he has to force up a tough shot. But again, in terms of, he's not going to really be an off-the-ball guy either, just because he doesn't really have that elite foot speed or just lateral quickness to be able to shake guys with or without the ball. But I do think he's just a defensive stalwart. You saw right there, he did a really good job moving his feet and contesting that shot, or what would have been a shot turned into a jump pass, but. And again, if you're looking for a guy, I go to this example all the time because you look at what the Raptors did against the Bucks in the playoffs. You look at what the Celtics did for a little bit against the Bucks in the playoffs. And if you're just looking for guys who you want to just send out there and wall up against a Giannis or a Kevin Durant or just any of these freaks of nature physically, you look at a guy like Saddiq Bey and, you're thinking, okay, yes, he can be one of those guys. He can be a Semi Ojeleye type at worst. So I think looking at a prospect and how you view him based on today's NBA, I think that's really helpful. And that's what really helped me sell. That's what really helped sell myself on Saddiq Bey. And you saw right there, that's a pretty solid shot. I'm not a huge fan of his form. It looks like there's a little bit of a hitch, and he almost releases it too far in front of his head, where I think he'll get blocked a lot and early in his career. If he just tilts it back a little bit, it's a pretty fine release. But again, he made 45% of his threes, and he was 3 of 8 for this game, so I'm not really going to criticize his form if he's making his shots. And right there, you saw him make a pretty good step-in 3. So it looks like he's going to get... So he's moving to the weak side corner right now. That's a shot that happened. It's a good shot from, I think that's Justin Moore, right? So Bay's on the block right now. Gets her on that screen. He's following David Duke. He's guarding. Who's a pretty good player for the Friars. Him and AJ Reeves and Alpha Diallo were their 3 best players. See if he fights over that screen. So he didn't really get over that screen, but that time he had the presence of mind to switch. So I think that was I don't know who switched for him, but it was an extended hedge and recover, and then he ultimately had the presence of mind to go box out the roller, which probably prevented an offensive rebound. And right here, he was in decent position for the rebound. Nobody was really touching him, but ball didn't bounce his way. Houston and San Diego State. I have two prospects one on each of those teams. Actually, I'm trying to think how many prospects I have from Houston, San Diego State. I think I have 4 total from those two teams on my top 100. Malachi Flynn, obviously. Let's see what he does on the ball, and then I'll continue talking about that. I have Malachi Flynn, Nate Hinton, Dejan Jarreau I have, actually. He's, I think, 99 on my big board right now. And Matt Mitchell, I think, is in the mid-90s as well. So I have 4 players from those two schools combined. I'm guessing Dejan Jarreau is going to come back, but Nate Hinton, I believe, already announced he was staying in the draft, so. Got that rebound. Let's see what he does here. So let's see. So again, he has a pretty decent handle, I think. I think it's just a matter of he doesn't really have the speed to get by people. But I don't think he's going to be a guy to turn it over off the dribble. That was pretty good burst, and he got to the hole really well. So again, if he could do that a little bit more consistently, I think he's really good at finding his spots and knowing when to go and knowing when to stop. He's not a guy who's going to turn the ball over a whole lot. Again, less than 2 turnovers a game for somebody who's scoring 16 points a game is pretty good. And again, he's a smart, cerebral player. And right now he's playing pretty well on defense right there. I think he got called, or I think Cole Swider got called for a foul. But again, I do think he's really good at picking his spots. And again, he's a pretty good finisher around the rim. You saw right there, good dribble. So yeah, if he does that more often, I do think his ceiling is significantly raised. But right now, I don't necessarily trust him to do that at the NBA level. But he does have it in him. So here's again. So again, right there, he kind of got put in quicksand. He's ultimately a set late. It looked like he bid on a little ball fake. He was just a step late to recover. And that's what I mean. He doesn't really have that lateral quickness to recover from those types of things. That's what will hurt him on defense, even though I think he's a pretty solid defender overall. It's just the lateral quickness that probably is my main worry with him. So he's on Duke again. Good job staying in front on this possession. Really good job. Ultimately got the steal out of it. See what he does here. Smart play not to force that pass up, and he's going to dribble it up here. Really good job right there, using his body to kind of throw off his defender and then rising up on the little sidestep into his jump shot. That was a really good overall play. And again, he's not really a quick guy. He's just more just smart about getting to his spots. Again, he's very much like Jalen Brunson in that regard, where Jalen Brunson wasn't the quickest guy, but he was just really good at using subtle fakes, using his body to shield off defenders, and then getting into his jump shot. I think Saddiq Bey has a little bit of that in his game. And we saw it right there with the little, again, he kind of shoved David Duke off with his body to the left, and then he stepped to the right, and he ultimately got the nice mid-range jump shot out of it. It's a travel, probably. See what he does here. Bang, Saddiq Bey again. Another good shot. And again, 45% from 3. There are a lot of things to like about his game. I think we tend to overrate lateral quickness a little bit in today's NBA. Obviously, it's important, but when you're talking about role players, when you're talking about high-level starters, not all of them have elite lateral quickness. And so I do think it's a little bit overrated, even though that's one of my favorite things to look for in a prospect. But I do think Saddiq Bey is worthy of taking in the top 10 or at least top 12. Just because I do like what he brings to the table on offense. Saddiq Bey again. Ooh, that one he could have made. Dang. So we got a timeout here. I'll skip ahead. So that time he's in the lane. Kind of got shoved from behind there, but they didn't see it or call it, so. Villanova is supposed to have one of the best teams in college basketball next year, and that's with Bey leaving. They have some NBA guys. Good job fighting through that screen. Oh, he got called for. Oh, no, he got ball there. Let's see what he does here. So he's on Alpha Diallo right there. Good job staying low. Again, disciplined defender. Knows when to stick his hands and his nose into the ball without getting called for many fouls. I think he only had 2 fouls in this game, which is pretty good for someone who's guarding a lot. Who's guarding a lot of guards who are quicker than him. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Villanova is going to be one of the best teams in college basketball this upcoming season, I would say. So, if he hits this, he stepped on a baseline. Dang, not Saddiq, but I think that was Jermaine Samuels, I believe that was. But yeah, they're basically bringing everyone back. Again, Brian Antoine's another guy who was a 5-star McDonald's All-American recruit, and he was coming off a shoulder surgery, so he didn't play a whole lot this year. He'll be back. You got Colin Gillespie. You got Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, who could have gone in the NBA draft if he wanted to, but he decided not to. You have Justin Moore, who's back. There's a lot of talented guys. Cole Swider is another one, So Villanova's going to be a very good team next year. They'll be fun to watch as well, as they always are. That time, you probably shouldn't have gone under that screen if you're Saddiq, or at least try to go under that screen. I don't know why he didn't fight over that, because he totally could have. It was more of a pin down screen rather than a ball screen, so he easily could have gone over that and contested that early 3, but it ended up in a miss anyway. So it's a good shot from Justin Moore, I believe. Saddiq Bey, really good deflection right there. And again, really good at knowing when to use his hands, and then he rushes down and boxes out the big man. Good hustle right there. Let's see what he does here. He's going to drive an attack. Good kick out. Let's see if he hits it. Should have been an assist. And again, just the cerebral play that Bey brings. I really like that about his game. Good job moving his feet right there. We know he got pushed off. That's tough. That's a tough play. It looked like he got kind of tangled up in his own feet with a combination of getting pushed off on the ball right there. We got a foul here, so let's skip these free throws. We got some more free throws here, so let's skip these. And again, you saw him switch around a little bit. He was on a guard and he was on a big. I do like that about Bey as well. Some of these guys are really skinny. You look at a Devin Vassell, you look at, an Aaron Neesmith, guys who are 3-and-D wings at the same position, but they're really skinny and not that strong yet. Saddiq Bey has a grown man's body right now. I do think he's able to bang down low against smaller 4s in the NBA, which is something that can't really be said about any other 3-and-D prospect right now, because you look at guys like, again, Vassell's very skinny right now. Neesmith isn't really a physical defender, and Okoro's just only 6'6". So Bey's a true 6'8", and again, 216. He's built well. Just one of those things where I do think he'll be able to guard a lot of fours in the NBA. See what we got going here. So he's posting up a little bit. Let's see what he does here. Good kick out. I think we got called for a foul, and Villanova's in the bonus, so I'll skip these free throws. And he averaged, let me look, I'm going to say, average around 2.5 assists a game, which is pretty good. It's not great, but for a wing, it's not horrible. And again, compare that to the 1.5 turnovers a game, and so he has a pretty good assist-to-turnover ratio. And that just goes, again, to his basketball IQ, his overall instincts with the ball. I do like that about him. Here's Saddiq. Oh, good pass. Great finish. Really good job leading Cole Swider there. So we got the final minute of the first half here. Snag that rebound. Interesting shot selection there. Good job banging out Alpha Diallo, even though it looks like Gillespie missed a box out on that shot, but Saddiq Bey hit him well. So you need to advance the ball here, Jeremiah. Yep. Kick it out to Saddiq had an open three there, but didn't matter. They got an open three with Cole, even though he missed it. Final possession of the first half, I'm guessing. So we will watch this. And so Villanova switched that pass right there. Got more fouls. Something does happen here, though, so I will play this last 4.2 seconds. Normally I wouldn't. So Saddiq's boxing out, and again, right there, that's just a weird tip out. And he contests that shot, which is good, and then there's a little lay-in right there. But I don't know if that counted or not, but regardless, I'll end the video here. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys saw what I like about Saddiq Bey and also a little bit of his weaknesses as well. And I will upload the second half video as soon as this one is done uploading. Thank you guys for watching again, and I will see you for the second half.